We all have heard stories of notorious serial killers, such as Ted Bundy and Jack the Ripper, and even hearing about these horrendous acts of violence can send a chill down anyone's spine, let alone imagining what exactly caused them to choose such routes of violence. That said, serial killers can serve as fantastic antagonists for any piece of fiction, which includes video games. To that end, here are 15 serial killer conspiracies in games. Red Dead Redemption 2: American Dream's Quest. While Red Dead Redemption 2 features a rapidly changing America where the law and civilization are making their way into society, acts of heinous criminal activity are still running rampant that still show the signs of the Wild West that this place once was. During their travels, players will come across some brutally murdered people with deformed corpses lying around. Upon closer inspection, though, Arthur Morgan comes to the conclusion that all these are acts of a serial killer. If you use Arthur's detective mode around here, the trails will lead you to pieces of a map. Once all map segments are collected, an American Dream side quest is triggered, which entails bringing the serial killer to justice. Hitman Codename 47. Agent 47 spends almost the entirety of the game's runtime tracking down his targets in distinct locales across the globe and murdering them in a wide variety of creative ways. At first, it would seem that these contract killings are at random, but later on it's revealed that all of these people actually serve together and that Agent 47 is a result of the amalgamation of their DNA, which makes him the perfect killing machine. We also come to know that these killings were all orchestrated by Dr. Ort Meyer, Agent 47's creator. Whether Agent 47 is the serial killer here or Dr. Ort Meyer is up to the player's interpretation of the story. Batman Arkham City Serial Killer Quest. Easily one of the most frightening quests in the entire game, Batman Arkham City's identity theft mission sees players hunting down a serial killer, one that has brutally murdered citizens across Gotham and took different parts of their faces for himself. Once Batman has tracked down all clues, he can enter the killer's lair, wherein it's revealed that the perpetrator is none other than the famous surgeon and Bruce Wayne's friend, Thomas Elliot. By joining the extracted parts of the victim's flesh together, he's able to construct a face that looks exactly like Bruce Wayne. Before Batman is able to bring justice to this criminal, he locks his house down and leaves Arkham City, which brings this quest to a premature end. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1: Siren Song. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1's Isle of Cordana is dotted with complex crime cases begging to be solved. And one such quest entails tracking down a serial killer conspiracy. The Siren Song quest sees players uncovering the truth behind the death of sailors across the map. At first glance, it would seem that the sailors drowned in one way or the other, but upon further inspection, Sherlock comes to the conclusion that these are all indeed works of a serial killer, who knows very well how to leave a mark while covering their tracks. After a great deal of collecting and sorting through the evidence, Sherlock finally encounters Elisa, a prime suspect of the case who admits to committing these heinous crimes. Whether you turn her in to the authorities or not is left for you to decide. Heavy Rain Origami Killer. Quantic Dream's Heavy Rain is an engaging thriller, and one of the more intriguing characters in the game is inarguably the main antagonist, the Origami Killer. The serial killer targets young boys and abducts them to play a game of life and death with their loved ones. The father of each of the kidnapped children must undergo challenging trials and tribulations if they want their children to survive. And at the center of it all are origami figures, which contain instructions on the assignment at hand. The Origami Killer is a twisted personality with no semblance of emotions or humanity, which makes him a great but irredeemable antagonist. Persona 4: The TV Killer. The entirety of Persona 4's lengthy quest revolves around bringing an end to the strange killings that haunt the denizens of the fictional town of Inaba. Residents of the city would strangely go missing, only to appear on a TV show by the name of The Midnight Channel. Shortly after, they're found dead with little to no clues of what caused it all. Once players investigate these happenings, they come to the conclusion that there's a parallel world inside of the TV, and someone is purposefully pushing people into that realm for personal satisfaction. Actually finding this wretched person is a lengthy mystery that players will need to solve in order to achieve the best endings to this fantastic JRPG. Grand Theft Auto V: Infinity Killer. While you don't actually get to meet the Infinity Killer in Grand Theft Auto V, his tale of strange killings and the eccentric motivation behind it all is sure to send chills down anyone's spine. The killer in question, Abrahams, was, strangely enough, obsessed with the number 8 as it's just infinity upwards. Then he went on to murder 8 people. The Twisted Infinity Killer even wrote a horrible short poem detailing the conditions of his victims, and eventually died in prison while awaiting his trial. Mass Effect 2 Morinth. First making an appearance as the primary antagonist of Mass Effect 2's Samara's loyalty missions, before reappearing once again in Mass Effect 3, Morinth is someone who can feed on the life force of others. One of the 3 daughters of Samara, Morinth has a monstrous nature of killing anyone and everyone of her partners whom she gets intimate with, and unsurprisingly she has a large body count to her name, making her one of the most dangerous serial killers in this massive space opera. L.A. Noire, the Black Dahlia murderer. L.A. Noire sees players assuming the role of Detective Cole Phelps on a quest to uncover the real identity behind the Black Dahlia murderer. This serial killer used to work across Los Angeles and used his position as an advantage to target women dealing with problems like alcohol abuse. The Black Dahlia murderer strangles these emotionally vulnerable women to death and takes items from their corpses like jewelry or a shoe as a trophy for these horrendous acts. Additionally, the killer also uses his knowledge of the victim's past to frame those murders on others. Thankfully, Cole Phelps is able to put an end to this reign of terror. Condemned, Criminal Origins, Serial Killer X. What could be worse than a serial killer who kills others for the sake of their own sadistic pleasures? Well, the main antagonist of Condemned, Criminal Origins, Serial Killer X, is a man who kills several killers as a means to vent out his suppressed anger and aggression. However, life takes a turn for the man when he kills 2 police officers instead, which leads to our protagonist being blamed for their murder, kickstarting the events of the game. Judgment, the Mole. Judgment's final boss, the Mole, is a serial killer who stands out from the rest of the pack thanks to his day job. You see, Mitsuru Koriiwa is one of the most respected officers within the Tokyo Police Department, which enables him to use his well-earned reputation as a smart cover for his heinous sins. One such act entails ruthlessly murdering a man with a bludgeon, which sends him into a coma for weeks before finally succumbing to his injuries. The Mole is a man with strong goals and a distorted view of morality, which makes him a deadly personality that's not to be trifled with. Hidden Agenda, the Trapper. Supermassive's Hidden Agenda might not be the developer's best-known release, but the serial killer at the epicenter of the game's mystery is one that evokes feelings of both empathy and disgust. The Trapper, later known to be Adam Jones, led a life of tragedy and hardships, which ignited feelings of hatred towards others in his younger self. These feelings are then channelized in the form of serial killings throughout Hidden Agenda, which includes the murder of Rupert Wash and a social worker who refused to help a young Adam. Murdered Sole Suspect, Abigail Williams. Square Enix's Murdered Sole Suspect is an engaging thriller that sees players uncovering the mystery behind their own death. At the center of this mystery lies Bell Killers, which are puppets that the main antagonist uses to kill those who have access to the limbo world of dusk. The master of these puppets is Abigail Williams, who herself has a rich backstory and a laundry list of heinous crimes, including the murder of protagonist Ronan O'Connor. The Wolf Among Us, the Crooked Man. Easily one of the more intriguing characters in the game, the Crooked Man is the main antagonist of The Wolf Among Us. True to his name, the serial killer can fear anyone with his imposing presence and is actually responsible for the murder of Faith and Lily. Unlike most other serial killers on this list, the Crooked Man is a master of puppets, and he uses his puppets according to their strengths to carry out crimes as he himself enjoys a life of privilege in the Crooked Lair. Deadly Premonition, Raincoat Killer. Deadly Premonition is all about uncovering the real identity of this twisted psychopath. Raincoat Killer, as the townsfolk of Greenvale have come to call him, is a serial killer who brutally assassinates his victims and hangs their deformed corpses on trees to make a bold statement about the murder. Legend says that the killer only attacks when it rains, which has earned him the title of the Raincoat Killer. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.